Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Guman Singh. Topping our newscast, a major change in ownership of one of the largest hotel chains in the world will be creating a giant hotel conglomerate next year. And the companies involved do have hotels in the Virgin Islands. What does the merger entail and how does it affect the territory? News 2's April Knight has that story.
Two of the world's largest hotel companies are merging, but it will not affect the Virgin Islands, according to local tourism experts. Marriott International is acquiring Starwood Hotels in a $12.2 billion deal to form the largest hotel chain in the world. Marriott International has 19 brands, including Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton. Starwood has 12 brands, including Sheraton and the Westin. In the territory, 3 hotels fall under the Marriott umbrella: Frenchman's Reef and the Ritz-Carlton on St. Thomas, and the Renaissance Carambola on St. Croix. The Westin on St. John falls under Starwood. For now, Marriott and Starwood will operate as 2 separate companies, but even after the merger, experts expect that it will take some time to iron out how the merger will affect the brands and the impact on travelers. In the Virgin Islands, the merger would not mean significant changes, according to VI Hotel and Tourism Association President Lisa Hamilton.
We don't expect it to have any type of negative impact. We think it's going to be business as usual. They're both great companies, so I think that they just become one very strong company. I don't think there's going to be any negative impact to the Virgin Islands at all.
Marriott's decision comes in response to an increasingly competitive landscape, where peer-to-peer services such as Airbnb are rapidly capturing a larger chunk of the market. The Marriott-Starwood merger is expected to be finalized in mid-2016. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Now, members of both Marriott International and Starwood Hotels loyalty programs are also concerned about how the merger will affect the rewards system that they're used to. Governor Kenneth Mapp went on air Tuesday morning on AM 1000's Morning Mix and discussed an array of topics, from his termination of a Justice Department attorney because of her association with St. Croix lawyer Lee Rohn to the investigation into Diageo's records. The governor also spoke extensively on the status of the Hovenza sales process, the allegations of collusion against the Virgin Islands government, and why he thinks ArcLight is the better buyer for the storage facility.
We actually started leaning in the direction of Buckeye. We said that they would bring more to the table, not in terms of just cash, but in terms of their experience and in terms of what could happen at the facility. When both of them made their bids to the court, then both of them came back to the government and asserted a plan. And it's really very clear that when we discussed with Buckeye what we saw at the facility and what we thought was important for the territory, and we had the very same conversation with ArcLight. When ArcLight came to its second meeting, clearly they had been listening.
Acting Attorney General Claude Walker, meanwhile, is reopening a criminal case against Halva Hart III, who served once as Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement. The recent charges involve some $28,000 in unauthorized charges to a government credit card that Hart supposedly used at Home Depot. He said use of the credit card occurred in 2011, May 2011, and eventually dismissed several months later by Superior Court Judge Michael Dunstan. Hart is being charged with embezzlement, violation of public trust, falsification of public accounts, as well as a felony charge for violating the Criminally Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. He is facing up to $500,000 in fines or up to 15 years in prison, or both. Well, as a result of a shortened work week, the Department of Finance has been informed that the posting of the direct deposit file to a few of the local banking partners may be delayed. In anticipation, they have taken steps to activate the established contingency plan. Government employees affected are advised that local banks will honor your direct deposit advices should you require emergency access to your funds. The Department of Finance sincerely apologizes for any inconvenience this issue may have caused. In the other news, the Department of Public Works Commissioner Gustav James, in conjunction with Stanley Consultants, Inc., is seeking public comment on the improvements to Clifton Hill Connector Road project on the island of St. Croix, federal aid project number QNH. Now, the proposed project will improve the conditions of existing Route 75, Clifton Hill Road. Enhancements include installation of sidewalks, drainage control improvements, and the reconfiguration of the Clifton Hill intersection with Route 66, Melvin Evans Highway, and Lorraine intersection at Queen Mary Highway. The meeting has been scheduled for Friday, December 11th from 6 to 8 at the St. Croix Department of Education Curriculum Center in Estate Clifton, St. Croix. Your input is needed. Plus, Island Roads Corporation will be mobilizing to begin construction, meanwhile, related to activity on the emergency relief repair project on Centerline Road, St. John. The work entails the construction of retaining walls, drainage improvements, and road repairs. In the coming days, the contractor will begin installing construction signs, temporary traffic control devices, and mobilizing of construction equipment. A single-lane road closure will also be implemented, and they say the project should be completed by June 24th, 2016. A commotion at the local Walgreens on St. Thomas when a pickup truck parked at the store's parking lot went up in flames. The fire burnt mostly the front portion of the truck. There were few explosions heard, according to eyewitness reports, and it took about 10 minutes for the fire department to arrive and extinguish the flames. The truck was towed away at around 7 p.m. The police has no official information on the incident as yet and no indication of whether the incident was reported at all as foul play to the VIPD. On Monday, November 24th at 12:35 p.m., a male individual reported to officers at the Wilbur Francis Command located in Mars Hill that he had been robbed. According to the claimant, while operating his taxi bus, he picked up two male passengers in downtown Frederickstead. As he came to a stop in the vicinity of the Ludwig Harrigan housing community, one of the men requested that he provide change. As the taxi operator reached into his pocket, both men brandished guns and demanded that he turn over all of his cash. One of the two suspects pointed his gun at the taxi operator's head, and both men threatened to shoot him if he didn't give them all of the money he had. The driver of the taxi bus complied, and the pair exited the vehicle and ran away, leaving the operator of the taxi bus unharmed. The men were described as one having been of light complexion and the other dark skin. Well, over the weekend, the Reichel Center grounds once again hosted a favorite annual event in the territory, the annual St. Thomas St. John Agricultural Fair. From various flora and fauna to fresh produce to fun and games for the little ones, attendees felt the two-day event was a hit. NEWS2's April Knight has more.
It's one of the year's largest agricultural events in the territory, the 32nd annual St. Thomas St. John Agriculture and Food Fair.
I want to commend our farmers in the territory, and I want to say to you that you are the core centerpiece, and we get it, and we are going to start moving in a greater way, because we're doing it, but in a greater way of producing more of our food in our territory so that we can eat healthier and we can eat better.
Food, produce, plants, and arts and crafts were on display. The usual collection of fauna were a hit with the young ones, along with face painting, sack races, and hula hoop contests. There was also Art by the Sea, which showcased creative fashion painstakingly made of recyclable materials. Past Ag Fair vendors were also remembered during the ceremony, including the plant man Paul Questel, as well as local icon June Archibald.
June was certainly a beacon of inspiration for many and an example of perseverance despite hardship and affliction. She was a tireless spirit that just wouldn't quit.
This year's theme was From Drought to Green, highlighting the plight of the territory's farmers who have had to suffer through prolonged dry weather in the hottest months of 2015.
As we go through periods where there are droughts economically, where there are droughts socially, educationally, and otherwise. But in those moments, we must not lose sight of the fact that there will be prosperity on the horizon.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
During the opening ceremony, Lou Henley of Lou Henley Sewage Disposal Company was also given an appreciation award by the Ag Fair Committee for his contributions to the event. Well, highest alert in Honduras, a shooting in the exterior of a bus station in the city of Choloma, north of the country, left at least 8 dead and 2 injured. Witnesses told local media that around 8 individuals wearing balaclavas and armed with AK-47 arrived in a blue van and opened fire. All victims were employees of the local transportation system. The slaughter occurred a block away from a police station. First reports indicated that the killing had been carried out by gang members in retaliation for the refusal of bus drivers to pay extortion. Meanwhile, authorities have released the name and photo of another suspect in connection to the Paris terror attacks. Police say Mohammed Abrini was driving a car that was later found abandoned at the site of one of the shootings. He had allegedly dropped off one of the bombers who attacked the State de France. Police are asking anyone with information on Abrini to contact them. Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. Taking a look at the numbers there. Everything up. The Dow 19, NASDAQ, S&P 500 up 2. Coming up on NEWS2, we continue our In the Spirit of Giving, who will be serving up some love and other events coming up as we head into the holiday season. Details. Welcome back. Alzheimer's patients will benefit from a new multi-sensory environment room that was unveiled at the Herbert Grigg home on St. Croix over the weekend. And that's thanks to a partnership between the Human Services Department and the Rotary Club of St. Croix, Mid-Isle, Grand Cayman, Quantum CT, and Diageo USVI. Herbert Grigg is the only home for the aged on St. Croix, and more than 84% suffer from Alzheimer's. It's designed to promote intellectual stimulation for Alzheimer's and dementia. It includes tactile audio and visual stimuli. It's historic because it's the first of its kind in the Caribbean. In the spirit of giving, Friday, December 4th will be the very last Project Homeless Connect this year at UVI Sports and Fitness Center, St. Thomas. St. Croix and St. John, they were held already. It's a day of caring for those less fortunate. Many volunteers have signed up. Homeless Connect was initiated on the local level by United Way Virgin Islands in partnership with Human Services. Turn attention to the Salvation Army. Police Commissioner Delroy Richards Sr., Police Chief Darren Foy, they opened the holiday season by putting the first donations in the kettle during the Salvation Army Red Kettle Kickoff on Monday. In attendance were Majors Daniel and Valerie Hazeldine and the band members, Mr. and Mrs. Bazzi and Faith Archibong. Salvation Army will be busy on Thanksgiving Day. They're starting with a short chapel service at 11:30 a.m. and they start serving meals at 12 until the food runs out. Finally, members of the St. Croix Federation of Teachers have packed their headquarters with food and other donations that will be distributed this week to families in need. They were collected over the weekend during a food drive that was held at 3 locations. Donations will be made to Lutheran Social Services, My Brother's Table, and Catholic Charities. Well, after Thanksgiving is over, the next thing to look forward to is Black Friday. And while many places are offering special deals, Christiansted Town is opening its doors for the Crucian Christmasstead Black Friday Jump Up. Activities kick off from 12 noon and go all the way until 10 p.m. Friday night. There's a free shopping, dine-in discount passport, and there's a lot going on. In addition to the extended store hours, there will be music, food, pictures with Santa, and lots of vendors. 2 new additions are the Festival of Lights and much, much more. 'Tis the season. Of course, we look forward to December events. The first, you can mark this on your calendar. On December 1st, Crown Bay. Once again, the U.S. Virgin Islands holiday festivities will begin with the annual celebration of the season. The Crown Bay Holiday Festival and tree lighting In addition to holiday sales at the Crown Bay Center stores, the entire center will be transformed with a variety of music and live entertainment from 10 a.m. through midnight, featuring local steel orchestras, Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights, Spectrum Band, and Cool Sessions Brass. Vendors will have local crafts, food, traditional holiday pastries, and drinks on sale, face painting, bouncy houses, the lighting of the Christmas tree, and Santa Claus bearing gifts for the children. Well, the West Indian Company Limited will be hosting its annual Christmas tree lighting, and that's from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Wednesday, December 9th at Havenside Mall on the West Indian Company dock. This year's event is entitled under the theme A Storybook Christmas. It will feature New Story Time, the recently released compilation of stories by students of the Adelita Cancrine Junior High School. There will be musical entertainment, seasonal treats, cultural traditions, and performances by school choirs and bands, and everything leading up to Santa's arrival in time for the Christmas tree lighting at 6 p.m. Stores will, of course, remain open late with special offers to accommodate early bird holiday shoppers. Downtown Charlotte Amalie will have all the lights, Christmas cheer, and holiday deals once again as the annual Miracle on Main Street event kicks off, and that is coming up. The Chamber of Commerce says that the festivities will be better than ever. From 9 a.m. there will be vendors selling goods and arts and crafts. Later on in the evening, around 5 p.m. or so, the bands will begin featuring music from popular local bands in several public schools. And if you take a glance on the waterfront, around 6:30 p.m., you'll be able to catch the lighted boat parade in the harbor. And as we get closer to the Thanksgiving holiday there, CBS TV2, we're reminding viewers that there will be no newscast on Thursday, November 26th. The 7 p.m. newscast will be preempted by NFL football, which is scheduled to end at around 9 p.m. And the 12 a.m. newscast will be preempted by the Paradise Jam's women's preview. Again, be advised, no newscast on Thursday, the 26th, and we return on air Friday, the 27th. Well, if you're looking for some great Christmas deals, Consumer Alerts tested something that's big on the shopping list this year. Here's more.
Polly Bijour's fitness tracker pushes her to exercise more.
I love watching the steps accumulate over the course of the day. So I'll say, oh wow, I've already hit 6,000 steps. I've done so great, and I only have 4,000 to go.
She's not alone. More and more people are buying fitness trackers, with sales doubling in the past year. You can pair most with your smartphone to keep track of all your data. But with so many options, how do you know which one to choose? Consumer Reports tested more than a dozen of the most popular fitness trackers. To check heart rate, testers put trackers against their highest-rated heart rate monitor. To test step accuracy, they measure trackers against a manual click counter.
We found that some are better at counting steps, some are better at tracking your heart rate, and some are just easier to use.
Consumer Reports says its highest-rated tracker, the $250 Fitbit Surge, is great for those who work out often. It's very comfortable and did well in heart rate accuracy tests. If technology isn't your thing, Consumer Reports suggests the $200 Basis Peak.
It got our highest rating for ease of use. You can pair it and sync it with your smartphone without much hassle.
If you're looking for a recommended tracker for less, check out the $130 Microsoft Band, a Consumer Reports best buy. It scored well in heart rate and step accuracy tests, but wasn't as easy to pair and sync as other tested models. This is Marcy Whalen.
Well, stick around. Your News 2 Active with the forecast is coming up next.